Okay. Our mission. Helping Parents Heal is a nonprofit organization dedicated to assisting bereaved parents. Through support and resources offered, we aspire to help individuals become shining light parents, meaning a shift from a state of emotional heaviness to one of hopefulness and greater peace of mind. Helping Parents Heal goes a step beyond other groups by allowing the open discussion of spiritual experiences and afterlife evidence in a non-dogmatic way. Helping Parents Heal affiliate groups welcome everyone regardless of religious or non-religious background and encourage open dialogue. Attendance at all Helping Parents Heal meetings is voluntary. All discussions that take place at affiliate-led meetings are confidential. We hope that participants will learn from and share with each other. Zoom meetings run by leadership are not confidential. These meetings typically feature guest presenters and are posted on YouTube so that affiliate members worldwide can watch and benefit. Neither type of Helping Parents Heal meeting is designed to replace traditional therapy or spiritual counseling. Helping Parents Heal offers a wide variety of speakers, allowing parents to learn about many possible ways to heal. This includes presenters covering progressive topics such as afterlife evidence and connecting with our children who have passed. The views expressed by our guest speakers may or may not reflect the opinions of Helping Parents Heal leaders and members, so we ask that you take from their presentations whatever may benefit you personally. Welcome, everyone. We're so glad you're here. It's going to be a wonderful evening. It's just such a beautiful healing session with Rick and Beth, and we so appreciate you being here.
Yes, we do. We're so excited to have both of you here. And I'd like to just read a very short bio for Rick and Beth so that you understand a little bit more about them. Most of you obviously know about Rick and Beth. We feel very, very grateful to have them as providers for our members. And of course, they wrote a beautiful book, which is called We Never Left You. But in 1999, Rick and Beth Olsen experienced a tragedy that no parent should ever have to go through: the passing of their two children, Jessica and Joshua, in a car accident caused by a drunk driver. Almost 18 years later, Rick and Beth share what they learned during their painful journey in order to help those who have experienced a similar tragedy. Once again, living in a house filled with children's laughter, the Olsens prove that it is not only possible to survive such a devastating blow, but also to eventually thrive. Rick and Beth have come to realize that the passing of their two children was meant to happen. It allowed them to step into their destiny of helping others. They have written a book, as I said, We Never Left You. The book talks about their journey in the first year after the death of their children and the signs they received from their children, letting them know that they lived on. To learn more about Beth and Rick, or to book a healing, please visit their website, www.weneverleftyou.com. I'm going to post that in the chat box. And without further ado, please join me and Irene in welcoming Rick and Beth Olsen. Welcome, Rick and Beth. We're so glad you're here. Let's see, it seems like you might be muted. Did they actually step off?
No, we're back.
We're
here
back
now.
on.
Oh, you're back on. There they
Yeah,
are.
our
Okay.
internet dropped for a moment. Sorry about that.
Well, I'm glad you're back. So welcome, Rick and Beth Olsen. We're really glad you're here.
One of the disadvantages of living out in the middle of nowhere, sometimes it just drops off momentarily. So thank you for having us tonight and for allowing us to be here. And hello to everyone.
Hello. Hi.
Hi. What we're going to do tonight is we are going to do a shamanic healing. And we're going to spend a little bit of time kind of giving you an overview of what healing is from a shamanic standpoint and talk about the differences between a group healing, which is what we're going to do tonight, and an individual healing, which is done on an individual basis. Then we will get into the actual healing portion of it, and then there'll be a little bit of time at the end for questions or sharing. So if you've got questions along the way, feel free to put them in chat and we'll see what we can do if we have time at the end to answer them. As Elizabeth said, we lost both of our kids in 1999 in a car accident, and the normal methods of trying to deal with that loss weren't working. So we were pushed and nudged by our kids to go along an energetic path, and it led us into energetic healing and energy and spirituality and into shamanism. And so we ended up pursuing that path and utilizing not only our experiences from how we dealt with the loss of the kids and how we move forward, but also the shamanic energetic healing methods to help not only ourselves but other people. And so we more or less do that on a full-time basis right now. And we're happy to be able to have that opportunity. We've come to understand that our kids were here for only a short time to put us in a position to be able to help others, and we continue to try and honor them by doing that. So from a shamanic standpoint, there is a luminous energy field that surrounds the physical body. And that luminous energy field contains the blueprint of who you are and what you are. And when there are disruptions in that luminous energy field, it can change you. And those changes can manifest physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. Those changes are typically caused by some type of a dense energy imprint. And it's that dense energy imprint that causes that change, that disruption. That dense energy imprint is typically the result of some type of a trauma. And that trauma could be something that occurred in this lifetime. It could be something that occurred in a previous lifetime and you're bringing it forward. It could be the results of energies that are being directed at you, whether consciously or unconsciously. And occasionally it's the results of energies that are passed down from mother to daughter or father to son. And what we do through the healing process is we work to clear out that dense energy imprint. It doesn't mean that you forget the trauma. It just means that that energy no longer informs you and causes those changes to you, to your luminous energy field. Typically, one of your 7 chakras is more affected by any of the other ones, by whatever this trauma is. And when you do an individual healing, we're able to identify which one it is and to really focus on that. I'll explain the difference in the group healing in a little bit. What we do through a group healing process is we will bring in spirit, and I will create an energetic body more or less, and I will work on the healing of that energetic body utilizing a stone from my medicine bundle. What happens on your end is because we have opened up sacred space, and what sacred space does is it helps to thin the veil between the energetic world and the physical world. And that makes it easier for spirit guide, loved ones to come in and do the work that they need to do on your behalf. Energy is not limited by time or distance. So you can do these types of healings and have the same type of impact as if you were in person. What happens when we do this as a group healing is as I mentioned, I will create an energetic body that represents everybody that's here. And I will do the healing on that energetic body on my end. On your end, what happens is spirit and your loved ones come in and they do the work that needs to be done for you on your energetic body. Sometimes it's just helping to hold you in that sacred space so that you feel them, or that you can feel their sense of peace or love. Sometimes people will physically feel things. They may tremble or vibrate slightly as energy is released from that dense energy imprint. Sometimes people will actually see or hear things. Everybody's different. Sometimes people just fall asleep. And that's okay too, because sometimes that's all that you need.
Well, and the healing still happens because
Correct.
your loved ones are with you.
Right.
So even if you do fall asleep, don't feel like you didn't get a healing, because your loved ones are right there. Your spirit guide is right by your side.
Right. They're still there doing the work. And so when we get ready to do the group healing, what's going to happen is I'm going to ask you to um, focus on the intent that we'll talk about in a little bit, and then either sit or lie down. You know, you can have music on, you can have be quiet, whatever you'd like to do, and just kind of relax and focus on the intent. Some people have their eyes open, some have their eyes closed, whatever's going to make you comfortable and relax. I am going to be rattling, and it'll sound like this. So that's going to take place during the whole course of the healing. The rhythm and the intensity may change a little bit, but that's what'll take place. Um, at the end of the healing, I will mention that it's over, and what I suggest typically for people is to take a moment or two just to make sure you're back with yourself, you know, wiggle your fingers and toes. I don't suggest you jump up right away because sometimes you'll fall down right away. So take your time if you're laying down, getting up, and um, make some notes because sometimes you will get messages. And so I always encourage people after these, if you do get any messages, write them down because sometimes we will forget because of the intensity of the healing or because of the surprise or whatever might take place. And then we will, you know, have some questions or sharing or whatever. When we do the healing, I had mentioned earlier, one of the things that we utilize is a stone from the mesa. And when I do these group healings, I always ask Spirit to guide me into picking out which one I should use for the group. Because when you do this individually, you get to pick that stone. You're drawn to a particular stone because the stones, each of the stones have a specific energy that helps you. So the stone that I was drawn to pick tonight is this one here. And this stone became part of my mesa from some friends of ours that we were helping to heal. They had lost their 4-year-old daughter in a car accident, and they ended up going to Sedona, Arizona, and did some of their own healing work there. We had been working with them as well. And for those of you that aren't familiar, Sedona, Arizona is a very powerful healing area, healing space. It has a lot of very powerful energy, healing vortexes. And so they came back literally with 2 bags of rocks and set it on my table and said, "You're supposed to have one of these, pick one." And so this was the one that I picked. And what I find is that this one is used a lot when it comes to grief and loss and love, because it's red like a heart and it's also shaped in a certain way like a heart. And so that's the one that I was guided to pick tonight to use in the healing process. So when for a group healing, what we typically ask is that you focus on some type of an intent. And my suggestion for group healings is typically to receive whatever healing I need at this time. That's a suggestion that I always offer to people. If you feel you've got something different or specific that you want healing for, you can focus on that. But by saying, or by focusing on the intent to receive the healing that I need at this time, it leaves it open because, you know, Beth has heard this many times. I tell people that I've learned to listen to Spirit and my wife and I stay out of trouble. So that's why I suggest to people to just listen and let Spirit take control of that. So normally I'd ask if there's any questions, but we're going to move along here so that we can make sure we get the healing done and have some time at the end. And so what I'd like to do at this point is I'm going to give you a minute or two to begin to get yourself settled. Pick out an intent, you know, use the intent that I suggested or pick out a different one. And so begin to get yourself settled, whether it's sitting down, lying down, whatever it might be. I'm going to give you a minute or two and then I'm going to start rattling. And during that rattling, just let yourself be. Things will come in, things will go out. don't necessarily beat yourself up if you get focused on one thing and um, have that replay and replay, just let it go. And so I caught that. Somebody asked, what is the intent? And so the intent that I suggest for group healings is to receive the healing that I need at this time, to be open to receive the healing that I need at this time. So that's what I suggest for group healings. And again, if you have something different that you want, that's fine. So I'll give you another minute or so to get settled, and then we'll start the healing process.
Okay, I'm gonna go lay.
Go ahead and take a couple of deep breaths. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Make sure everything's where it belongs. Take your time sitting up or standing up or moving. Make some notes if you got any messages. And come on back. So some of you may have felt a lot of things. Some of you might not have felt anything. But I can tell you from my end, I could sense there was a lot of energy that was released, a lot of dense energy that was released. There was a lot of spirit activity. There was a lot of healing that was going on. There are some of you that are in a lot of pain right now, and I'm sorry for that. But this process of this healing, as well as the process that you're going through, will help.
That
We
was
tip.
wonderful. I appreciate it, Rick. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt, but it was
No,
really
go ahead.
and I hope that everyone was able to listen and benefit. And it's great that we have this recorded. So I didn't want to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that normally when I do these group healings or when Beth and I work like this together, at this point we, ask if anybody wants to share, if anybody has questions. So I don't know how you want to handle that, Elizabeth.
Well, if people would like to write questions in the chat box, that would be wonderful. And Irene and I can both, let's see. Monica is saying that she felt more relaxed, which is wonderful.
What
And
happens, and I'm going to jump in here on some of these because I did open chat. Thank you. What happens is when you're in that sacred space, which is what was created during this healing, is that you get to have that sense of infinity. You get to taste for a moment that sense of infinity, and it helps you to be relaxed and to be more humble in some cases. So yes, relaxation is a big feedback from this.
yeah, lots of people are saying Marianne is also, and then both of Laura's beautiful dogs, Puerto Rico and Sydney, came to the computer to enjoy the sounds and healing. Thank you. Let's see. Joyce is saying she had 4 dizzy spells during that. I had my eyes closed the entire time. What does that mean?
You, as I mentioned, people will experience this release of energy in different ways. Sometimes you don't feel anything, sometimes there's trembling or vibrations. That energy affects not only physically but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So that does happen. That does happen.
Good. And it's good to know that it's normal. And Regina is saying I was overwhelmed and tears were running down her face, which is, let's see, roll down her face. Marianne also says that she felt that her daughter is somewhere in the room with her, I think, when the healing was happening.
Yep. Yeah, your loved ones were able to step in and participate and help in the healing. That's what opening that sacred space does. It thins that veil between the energetic and physical world.
That's beautiful. Monica is saying, what can I do to incorporate this in my daily life? I suppose one of the biggest things is to have this recording, right? Is it every day?
Um, right. Trying to, and a lot of people will probably already incorporate this, but trying to create those moments of stillness to be able to just settle and to have that touch of spirit. And those moments of stillness can be meditation, and some people talk about they have difficulties meditating, and I suggest a couple of things. One of them is play some music in the background, but nothing with words in it, because what that does is it helps to give that aspect of your mind that wants to be busy and occupied something to latch onto, and that can make it easier to meditate sometimes. You can also meditate by moving, just walking sometimes, or standing in nature and just kind of swaying is a form of meditation as well. And just taking those breaths and focusing on your breath, just the in and out of your breath. And that simple act of being still helps to create that connection with spirit.
That's beautiful.
You
So
know,
there,
I just wanted to say, Rick, that I'm sorry, Elizabeth, I didn't mean to interrupt, that not only the feeling of calmness and just peace. I had foot surgery 7 weeks ago, and I haven't been able to engage my toes yet. And I just asked Spirit to help me, with continued healing. And right now, for the first time in 7 weeks, I'm wiggling my toes and it feels pretty good. So I think that's pretty powerful.
Thank you.
Very cool.
and very important for all of us. So
Yes.
we're glad that Irene is wiggling her toes. That's for sure. Yay. Thank you, Carla. Thank you, Rick.
You're welcome.
So there are also some other things that that people are saying. It's interesting because let's see, Barbara is saying, wow, felt pressure on my forehead, then felt as if someone touched the top of my head, felt a pressure on the top of my head towards the left of my scalp, then kind of tingling through my head. Does that sound like something that lots of people experience? Is it something that you've heard of before?
Yeah, I mean, you're being touched at that point. I mean, when you feel pressure like that or you feel that tingling, more than likely you've got somebody from the spirit side that is physically making contact with you, holding your hand, brushing your face. That's very common.
That's beautiful. And Danny says that she was lying down on her sofa, one hand on her heart center, one on her belly. She felt puffs of cold air on her left hand. Her eyes were closed. She saw light and at one point a heart. Felt her daughter. That's beautiful.
Mhm.
It's wonderful.
Breathing as we do in yoga a lot of times. Um, uh, Elsie is saying, it's like I heard throat singing with the rattling, which is interesting. I kind of felt like there was someone singing as well as I was
Mhm.
listening to you.
I have a lot of help with, I have a strong connection with Native American Indians. I've helped some of them that have been trapped here cross over to the other side, and they come in and they help with this healing work that I do. And there was definitely a lot of help that came in. So they will add assistance, and in some cases, that singing or that throat singing, even if it's not Native American, is potentially your connection to a spirit guide that's looking to help you with your healing as well.
Wow, it's beautiful. Yelena is saying, I felt my son here. Thank you. And then Elsie's saying, it's like oh yeah, the throat singing, sorry. Kim is saying, Spirit, my daughter, not sure which, mentioned the rock you used. It said that rock is forever, maybe not in the same form, but forever. You don't think we are eternal too? We are eternal and connected forever, right now, just in different forms. Very powerful.
Mhm.
Yes, we
I,
definitely are forever and connected. I will agree with that.
I did see someone who had been to Sedona and had gotten the same types of healing rocks right before. Hilda said that she has the same stone from Sedona as well and picked it up during her healing there as well.
Oh.
Um, let's see.
Yeah.
And
And Rick, can you talk a little bit about the rattle, why that's so powerful? I mean, it really helps you hearing that sound, just be able to really relax. What
Sure.
is the rattle and why do you use it?
So in traditional shamanic use, there's either a drum or a rattle that's used. And what happens is that rhythm that's produced from the drum or the rattle helps to shift the brain waves, helps you to relax, helps you to enter an altered state. And one of the things that you do, one of the techniques you learn from the shamanic standpoint is what's called journeying. And that rattling or drumming helps you to enter into an altered state of consciousness, which then actually allows you to go and travel to spirit or travel to areas where spirit is. And so that rhythm there is just helps the brain and the body to relax. But it's also the rattle has got, because of the type of beads, if you find the right rattle, if you listen to it, you can create all kinds of different sounds from that rattle, and it allows that sound to expand and help to almost encompass you as well. With the drum, when you're using the drum, the vibrations from the head of the drum, it's similar to sound immersion, where you actually get the vibrations from the drum help to create a rhythm in the body as well.
That's beautiful. So it's similar to the bowls as well, to the crystal
Yep.
bowls.
Right.
Obviously, that we have Andrea Corey do very frequently. Any type of sound that expands like that
Hmm.
is healing, I'm sure. Mary is saying, I saw an owl and became very happy in my heart. I later merged with the owl and was flying. That's pretty amazing.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's very
Um,
powerful.
yeah. And then we have amazing, thank you so much. Yelena felt a physical weight on top of her, which I actually did myself too. Um,
It's your loved ones laying on top of you.
it's so beautiful. And then Monica is asking if you know of any Native American music that you might be able to recommend to us. Do you have any?
I can't, yeah, I can't give you any specific recommendations, but what I typically will do if I'm looking for a mixture of that is I use Apple Music, and you can just search for Native American drumming, Native American rattling, Native American flute, any of those, and you'd be amazed at what comes up in what they have available. I've created whole libraries of those types of music to use in healings just from searching on Apple Music.
That's great. That's a really good idea too. Um, Diana is saying, I saw my son dancing to the beat of the rattle, which is beautiful.
Nice.
And then Monica is asking where you could buy a rattle like that. I suppose that this might have been part of your initiation, or is it something that you were able to purchase later on?
My original rattle I got from Peru, but that lasted me about 20 years.
Mhm.
Oh, it's
Um,
not bad.
Yeah.
yeah. This one here and others similar to it, you can get, there's a website called Shaman's Market, and they've got a lot of different rattles like this that you can get, that you can buy. They're relatively inexpensive, and they've got different sizes too.
Well, and could we just ask a little bit about your shamanic training? Where was it that you went to do this? Was it in Peru or was it in part somewhere here in the States or uh,
It
and how
was,
long did that
yeah, it
take?
was actually both. I'm sorry,
Mm.
Elizabeth, go ahead.
No, I'm just interested because I don't think a lot of people know that you have trained to become a shaman. And obviously you helped Jeff in the ceremony when we were doing the ceremony on Thursday, and we were so grateful for you to be able to do that. But maybe you could just tell a little bit about the history of how you decided to do this. Obviously, it was something to be able to heal
Hmm.
yourself well and then be able to heal others. Um,
And we were kind of directed to pursue the shamanic path. We kind of were, as we talked about earlier, that the normal methods of counseling and grief work didn't work for us. So we were led um, to try and start to look down the shamanic path and do energetic healing. And we met with an individual by the name of Alberto Violdo. He runs the Four Winds Society. He's been instrumental over the last 40 some years of bringing indigenous teachings from Peru area into the West, into North America. And we spent time with him down in Peru. We spent time with him in his classes. We went through about 2.5 year
Mhm.
training period with him. And then
That was in California,
yeah, that was in
not in
California.
Peru, but
And then I spent some time down in Peru with him as well and did some
mhm.
teaching, a little bit of teaching in some of his classes. And from there, it's just we continue to develop this connection with spirit. That's part of that, the beauty of the
Mhm.
shamanic teachings is that it you learn the tools and techniques to connect directly to spirit, so you don't need a middleman. So now you can then begin to learn from spirit and they begin to inform you. There's kind of um, a saying that says, when a shaman calls on spirit, spirit answers. But the flip side of that is when spirit calls, the shaman has to answer. So we've been blessed to be put in some amazing situations where we're able to help not only the living, but those on the other side as well through this shamanic work. And we're grateful to be able to do that.
It's amazing. I just wanted to also read something by Melissa because it's fascinating. Her daughter randomly decided to go to Sedona to get married on Bell Rock just 1 month before her accident. I feel I'm getting signs to go back there. We are from Michigan, so it's not close. I saw her reaching her arms out to me in her wedding dress during that meditation. I think that's really beautiful. I'm sure you both know
Beautiful.
where Bell Rock is, and it's a huge part of Sedona. Obviously, it's the first thing you see when you drive into Sedona, and it's so
Mhm.
beautiful. Um, let's see. How do you spell spaphonic? Is that something that
The,
you guys could help with?
the, the next person and the chat answered it.
Oh, okay. Shamanic. Oh, spaphonic. Is that what she's saying? Okay, yeah, shamanic. Okay, good. That's wonderful. Um, and yes, I think that it's just wonderful that you were able to find this healing modality and be able to use it to help others as well, which is so exciting. And you two were probably some of the the busiest of the whole conference in terms of presenters. As Rick was saying, he didn't get to see a sunrise or a sunset while he was in Phoenix. But
Yeah, I had them scheduled pretty tight, but when we go down there, we want to help as many people as we can. So that's
well,
why when we did the group healing, it was so beneficial to have 150 people in that room.
in the same room. But I remember we were loading up and getting ready to leave, and everybody else was already gone from the area where the presenters were, and you guys were still there taking appointments because so many people were benefiting from your healings, which was wonderful. And anyway, I'm just looking here. Melissa's saying, today I was learning about the brain waves and healing delta, theta, alpha, beta, gamma. Seems it has frequency cycles that may be affected by sound. Maybe you could speak to that, Rick or Beth.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was talking about earlier, in that the drumming or the rattling helps to shift the brain waves. And I think it's theta, but I can't remember for sure, that you shift into that aspect of that sense of right before you're falling asleep, where you're not sleeping but you're not awake. And it's that altered state there that helps you to be relaxed and be open and receptive to connection with spirit.
That's amazing. And it's so helpful to us. So is this something that you would recommend doing? Maybe listening to this recording every day or every week? Or do you think that it will allow us each time that we listen to the recording to maybe experience more?
It will be helpful. You want to make sure you set your intent ahead of time. Um, you're in essence creating a shamanic ceremony is what we did tonight. Because you can create a shamanic ceremony at any point. You need intent, you need focus, you need to create that sacred space and have that personal power to help create that. So everybody together help to magnify that and create that. If you're listening to this in the future, you can still create that, but make sure you treat it as a sacred ceremony. Don't just put it on in the background and hope something happens. It doesn't work that way. So treat it like we did tonight. Focus on it. The group healing will work well for you. At some point, I would encourage you, if you're interested, to also look to do individual healings, because that really has a tendency. The individual healings really focus specifically on traumas related to what you have in your own luminous energy field. And you get messages directly at that point. When I'm working with somebody, or Beth is working with somebody, we're able to get messages from spirit related directly to you. So this, by all means, is helpful. The group healing, just treat it with as if it's a sacred ceremony.
It's beautiful. And we will definitely. And I truly appreciate both of you being here so close to the new year. This is a perfect thing to start the new out the new year with. And I know that Irene feels the same way. And I can't wait for her to be walking around, cleaning her floors and doing everything. She's very, very cleaning her floors. It's wonderful. And I'm not. So anyway, this is plus playing golf. Playing golf is probably a little bit more important than cleaning floors, but anyway, it's wonderful. And we're both so happy to have been able to have you here this evening. I know that next time that you come back, you'll have a pretty incredible forgiveness story to tell us. So we're very excited about that. But in the meantime, we always ask everyone to unmute and say thank you and good evening and maybe Happy New Year, which would be nice as well.
Thank you so much. It was beautiful.
Thank you so
Enjoyed
much.
it tremendously.
Thank you so much.
For
I
being
think it was
here.
amazing.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for
so
spending
much.
here.